what 10 players have the best chance to win the Heisman Trophy this upcoming college football season? I want to give you guys my Heisman watch list. Guys need to look out for that have a great shot at walking away with the Heisman at the end of this year. We're going to start off with Carson Beck. Carson Beck, you probably could argue and say he should be a lot higher than 10, but Georgia isn't really a good school for putting up Heisman numbers if you're a quarterback, because they're so balanced. They're good running the football. They're also good throwing the football as well. But if you're trying to win Heisman, you need to be able to have a little bit more volume if you're Carson Beck. And I don't think he's going to get enough volume to really finish this season in that Heisman finalist conversation. He'll finish on the outside looking in because he is arguably the best quarterback in the game. But with Carson Beck having to fight for opportunities to throw the ball and put up Heisman stats when you got Trevor Etienne who transfers in that from Florida, I just don't see him putting up enough numbers to be rated higher than what he is at number 10. Coming in for me at number 9, I have Zachariah Branch. Zachariah Branch, he's not talked about enough when it comes to potential breakout players. He has a lot of similarities to DeAnthony Thomas, Tavon Austin. We didn't really get to see a lot of him outside of the first 2 games that USC played last year, but he is really dynamic. He has Olympic-like speed. They say he's faster than Tyreek Hill, some people report. He's also fantastic after the catch. He's really elusive, especially once he gets into the open field. You might as well just kiss him goodbye. Don't even try to tackle him. With how dynamic USC's offense is going to be going into the Big Ten, these Big Ten defenses are going to have to adjust to having to guard up against a guy like a Zachariah Branch because they don't see receivers as dynamic as him that often with this kind of game-changing speed and playmaking ability. Plus, he's going to be returning kicks and punt for the Trojans this year as well. Zachariah Branch definitely is one of the few wide receivers in the nation that have a good opportunity to win the Heisman Trophy this year. Quinn Ewers comes in at number 8 for me. Quinn Ewers, kind of the same thing for Carson Beck. Their offenses are so balanced when it comes to running and throwing the football that I don't know if Quinn Ewers is ever going to have a season where he goes off for, let's say, 38, 45-something passing touchdowns. I think he is going to be really good this year. I think this is the best season that we are ever going to see out of Quinn Ewers. But with how many mouths there are to feed and the way that Steve Sarkisian calls plays, I don't see Quinn Ewers getting enough volume to put up Heisman-worthy numbers. That doesn't mean that he's not going to be a good quarterback. I'm just saying that with how much talent that Texas team has, I can't rate him any higher than 8. But if they end up being a more pass-heavy team entering year 1 of the SEC, I definitely could see him rising up the ranks. But he is in at number 8 for me when it comes to my Heisman watch list. At number 7, I have Oklahoma State running back Ollie Gordon. He ended up winning the Doak Walker Award, which is awarded to college football's most outstanding running back. And if Oklahoma State is going to have a shot at winning the Big 12 title this year, he's going to be the main catalyst for that. Alex Bowman returns at quarterback for another season. He's not that good at all. If anything, he's average to below average. Ollie Gordon is this offense. And if you're able to slow him down, then Oklahoma State doesn't have anything offensively. If Oklahoma State ends up making it to the Big 12 championship and they potentially win it and they get into the college football playoffs, you could see Ollie Gordon maybe having close to 2,000 rushing yards. He may not hit that exactly, but I could see him having 1,900 rushing yards, averaging 6-7 yards per carry with 19, 20 touchdowns. This, to me, is the best running back in America. And he's the only running back that I have on this list. This dude is a monster, really good vision, great contact balance. He's just a do-it-all running back. I would love to have him on my team, and I'm pretty sure you would too, unless you're a Ohio State fan and you just hoard all the good running backs. At number 6, I got Tennessee signal caller Nico Imaviava. If you're somebody who's not really familiar with SEC football, you're probably going to be asking, who the hell is this dude? Well, he was one of the more highly sought after quarterbacks coming out of his recruiting class. Tennessee was flying him out on recruiting visits in a private jet. And anytime you're getting recruiting visits on a private jet, you're legit. And he had a really good showing in his debut as the starter against Iowa in their bowl game. To me, he's a more athletic Trevor Lawrence. He's also a little bit more physical than what Trevor Lawrence is. He has a really good arm. Tennessee has a really good supporting cast around him. And you should see Tennessee's offense explode this year and look more similar to what they did back in 2022 with Hendon Hooker at the helm than what they did under Joe Milton. Joe Milton wasn't bad, but he wasn't that great. Plus, Tennessee dealt with some injuries at wide receiver. Brew McCoy got injured. Deontay Thorin got injured. You bring back everybody fully healthy. You got more depth at receiver too. Tennessee is an air raid style team. They like to throw the football a lot. Nico Imaviava definitely is going to have the kind of volume that you need to be able to win the Heisman. And if he ends up being as good as expected, I can see him throwing for 40 touchdowns. He'll probably have 6 or 7 on the ground as well. He could really go off this year. And if that does happen and Tennessee gets into the college football playoffs, definitely expect him to be a finalist. Number 5, I got Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe, he got better every single game, it seemed like, after he got benched. He made gradual improvements as a passer. We already know he's one of the best, if not the best, dual threat quarterback in the nation. When this dude chooses to tuck and run with the ball, it's poetry in motion, it seems like. You get a better offensive mind at the helm, and Kalen DeBoer being your head coach. Last year, you played under Nick Saban. We know Nick Saban's the GOAT, but Tommy Rees was your offensive coordinator. Tommy Rees severely limited Jalen Milroe's production in a sense, just because I don't think Tommy Rees really knew how to use this dude. Kalen DeBoer, what his offense is based on is throwing the football downfield outside the numbers, which is something that Jalen Milroe does better than arguably any other quarterback in the country. He has the best deep ball out of any quarterback. He throws a deep ball, but then he throws short and intermediate passes, which is really weird. Under Kellen DeBoer, Jalen Milroe really could pop off this year. He comes in at number 5 for me. Number 4, I got Cam Ward with Miami. He transfers from Washington State down to South Florida. Miami, I expect them to win the ACC this year. And when that happens, this is going to be the best season that Miami has had in damn near 2 decades. And with that happening, they're going to be one of the biggest stories in college football. And the main reason for that success is going to hinge on the arm of Cam Ward. Cam Ward, this is the best, most talented team that he's ever played with. Great receivers, great offensive line. You're going to have a great running back. Shannon Dawson is one of the better offensive coordinators in the nation. If Miami is going to be good this year, and Miami really is back, it's going to be because of Cam Ward. He was the best quarterback in the transfer portal. He initially decided to declare for the draft, but Mario Cristobal flipped him from the draft to the Canes. Cam Ward, I expect him to put up Heisman numbers. The volume's going to be there. Miami definitely is going to be airing the football out a lot. Plus, he has some underrated athleticism in his game. Also, look out for Cam Ward this season. At number 3, I have Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is the best player in the nation. He plays wide receiver, cornerback. He's great at getting open. Really good route runner, creates great separation. He's also the best cornerback in college football. How often do you find somebody this good? Arguably top 5 at wide receiver in the nation, and then undebatably the best cornerback in the nation. If Colorado ends up winning the Big 12 this year, it's going to be mostly due to Travis Hunter. Anytime you watch Colorado play last year, back early last year when they had their little bit of success and they started out 3-0, Travis Hunter was just making plays all the way around. That receiver seemed like he was getting open damn near every play. At cornerback, you didn't even want to throw his way. He made a lot of crazy interceptions that went viral. Travis Hunter, being the best player in college football, you got to have him on this list. At number 2, I got Jaxson Dart from Ole Miss. Ole Miss is stacked this year. Great offensive line. They're good at running back. They are incredibly deep at wide receiver. You got Lane Kiffin dialing up the plays for you. Lane Kiffin is one of the best offensive minds in the sport right now. Jaxson Dart has gotten better every single season. This is the year where he really could just explode. And Ole Miss is expected to make it to the college football playoffs this year. But they also have a very good chance of being able to win the SEC this year due to how favorable their schedule is. All right, you get to avoid some of the best teams in this conference. You probably got the easiest schedule out of any team going into the SEC this year. So Jaxson Dart should be able to put up some Heisman numbers, but he also is going to have some games where he's going to have the opportunity, such as when Ole Miss plays Georgia, to show everybody that, hey, I can play Heisman caliber football against some of the best teams in the nation. So Jaxson Dart comes in at number 2 for me. At number 1, I know you guys are about to get upset with this one. I'm sorry, but I got Shedeur Sanders. I don't see how Shedeur Sanders doesn't end up winning the Heisman this year. The Heisman is about putting up great numbers. Okay, it's a popularity contest. Let's just be honest about it. And Shedeur Sanders is probably the most popular quarterback in college football right now. Colorado, they are going to run the football a lot more than what they did last year, but this team is going to win or lose based on how well Shedeur Sanders plays. And last year, if it wasn't for Shedeur Sanders, Colorado wouldn't have won any game last year. You saw how different this team looked when he was on the field versus when he was off it due to injuries. They got blown the hell out by Washington State, and they couldn't even move the ball that effectively against Utah, which their quarterback situation was less than ideal also. With the receiving core that Shedeur Sanders is going to be throwing to, Travis Hunter, LaJohntay Western, you got a really good transfer from Vandy coming in there. You are 4 or 5 guys deep at wide receiver. Deion went all in on improving the offensive line this year. Is this going to be one of the best offensive lines in college football? No, it's not, but it's definitely going to be way better than allowing 50 damn sacks that Shedeur Sanders sustained last year. Shedeur Sanders has a great roster around him, and he's going to have the opportunity to put up a lot of stats with how frequently Colorado opts to throw the football this year. So this is my Heisman watch list, my list of guys to watch for the Heisman Trophy preseason edition. I plan on updating this every week throughout the college football season this year, but this is just my preseason list. Live your list of players who you feel you have your eyes on, who could potentially win the Heisman Trophy this year.